Well, it's now time for sports news. Now, after failing to perform well in the 2014 Confederation Africa Rugby Division 1B tournament in Tunisia a week ago, the team is now looking to bounce back in the Elgon Cup, which kicks off in 2 weeks' time.
Now, the Ugandan Rugby Union Technical Committee has promised to assemble a strong team which will fight for the annual championships they last won 2 years ago. Here's more in this report.
Uganda flattered in the just concluded Confederations Africa Rugby Division 1B tournament held in Tunis after hosts Tunisia, Senegal and Ivory Coast. Focus has now turned to the Elgon Cup, where Uganda hosts Kenya in the first leg on July 7th at Chadondo Rugby Grounds. The team resumes training next week at Chadondo Rugby Grounds under head coach Peter Magona, backs coach Herbert Wafula and forwards coach Fred Mudola.
The team has trained very hard. They've been together for 3 months training. They've just come off the competition in Tunisia, so they've had some good match experience, and they've only got about 3 weeks to get into the Elgon Cup, 2 weeks actually, so I'm sure they're ready for the tournament.
The poor performance in the Confederations Africa Rugby is attributed to inexperience of players who have just come in the setup of the national team, though there are positives.
And the coaches are trying to build a young team that can look to the future. The previous teams that have been successful were together for about 5 years before they finally won the African Championship. The current team has just come in together for just over a year, so we need to be patient with them. The coaches are doing their best with them and grooming them well. So this is a team that will definitely give us results.
The Uganda Rugby Union Technical Committee, after a disappointing season, highlighted this to poor strength and conditioning as a major area of concern for the national side.
The government needs to own all national teams and facilitate them. The planning part of it at times falls below. We start late to prepare for international games, or when we do, there are hiccups that do come up. And at the end of the day, you see that the teams don't perform to their best. The planning part of it needs to be really sorted out. That's in all departments, all those who are concerned in terms of sports in general.
Uganda was knocked out of the 2015 Rugby World Cup qualifiers in a surprisingly disastrous campaign that ended in relegation to Division 1B, the second tier level in Africa Rugby, but they were sent down to C Division 1C after the disastrous performance in Tunis.
Now, the Federation of Motorsports Clubs of Uganda has directed that all motorsports events will take place under closed circuits starting next year. This has prompted FMU to revive their plans of engaging the National Forestry Authority to gazette for them a section in the nearby forest where they'll be staging their rallies as they tighten safety among drivers and fans. Now, in March this year, FMU embarked on a long-term program where they're targeting a low-populated area which will give the drivers freedom to drive at their speed and minimize the rate of accidents. As witnessed in the previous events, the Federations of Motorsports Clubs of Uganda officials believe if the move is put in place, the sport will gain more competition and reduce on the number of accidents.
It's going to be mandatory for every event to be driven under what we call closed circuits, closed routes. That means the routes outside the the public. Right now we have already engaged the government and we are getting very positive response. And I think in the near future, not long from now, we should be able to get the land and start surveying it. But also the good news, the FIA, the International Fora, has shown also very big interest in helping us into this. So we believe we are on the right course and soon we shall unveil.
Now, England's long journey to the final 16 of the 2014 World Cup got further complicated after Uruguay's Luis Suarez scored twice to condemn the 1966 champions to a 2-1 defeat at the Arena de Sao Paulo. Now, while captain Gianluigi Buffon is back from injury in goal for Italy's World Cup match against Costa Rica tonight. Now, we have more in this World Cup update.
The Liverpool striker, making his return after a month of recovery following knee surgery, pushed England in the 39th minute when Cavani put in the ball from the left to find him unmarked. Suarez, just behind Phil Jagielka, rose to head the ball past a helpless Joe Hart and the celebrations got underway.
Und dann ist es Jagielka, ja auch ein Liverpooler, aber
Wayne Rooney netted his first World Cup goal thanks to a brilliant run by Glenn Johnson past two defenders to set him up for a 75th minute tap-in.
Durch die Beine und den muss machen und den macht Cáceres ist es, der Rooney.
Unfortunately, the joy was short-lived as World Cup tormentor Suarez blasted another past England's Joe Hart. England was finally left at the brink of an early World Cup exit at the cost of Suarez's winner. England have to beat Costa Rica and hope Italy win both their remaining games so that the second position comes down to a goal difference. Meanwhile, Switzerland hosts 1998 champions France in another Group E clash tonight.
It's now time for a look at tomorrow's weather prospects. Let's now have a recap of the top stories. We pay the power bills. KCCA and police officials cordon off a British diplomat's residence for tapping electricity from the street lights line.
Even if I have to go to the office, I'll get full information what happened and how can I help you. It doesn't result me.
Members of Parliament today shrugged off new sanctions imposed by the United States government. MPs ask US to respect the nation's sovereignty. And in sports, England's journey to the final 16 in the World Cup gets complicated after Uruguay beat them 2-1. Action continues tonight as France takes on Switzerland.
Den muss machen und den macht Cáceres ist es, der Rooney entwischen lässt. Der letzte.
Now, when business is not moving on in accordance to plan, what do you call that?
It's unusual.
Well, now business unusual.
With Daniel O'Mara, enjoy.
Hi, and welcome to Business Unusual. That show where we beat the news chifaru for having bad manners. Basically, the reporters report it for its mistakes and we punish it. Here's the news. So what you heard previously was just one of the slogans we use on this show. Like normally when we're opening, we can come in and say, oh, that show where we report the news to you for the bad manners it has done. Or that show where we give you our version of the news. That show where we defile the news and hand it back to its parents. There's a whole bunch of list of things we have said here. For example, if you do take offense, make sure you bring it back because we did not give it to you, it is ours. See, these are just some of the slogans and catchphrases we've been throwing around on the show since we decided to take over television a couple of months ago. And it was fun, it's cool. Normally, if you took one of our catchphrases and used it, we wouldn't fret. In fact, we'd be honored. It meant someone was listening. That was before we figured out these things are for paying. That we could actually make money off our slogans and stuff. So whoever is using our phrases now, pay me. 8 billion, my nigga. 8 billion. 8 bzz. Yes, all of it. Because we have discovered that you can actually sue when people go around using the stuff you said without asking your permission. That is what Seya is doing. Yes, the triple double S man himself, Seya Sebagara, that one, has decided to take a certain telecom company to court because they used his broken English for callback tunes. Now, as if the callback tunes or songs were not bad enough. I mean, why do they always pick the weak songs to be callback tunes? Ice Cream, which started the war in Syria. Who uses that song system? Ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. But besides the point, Seiya has taken them to court because they have misused his broken English, which I find ironic. I mean, how much more could you misuse something that has already been misused? If this is the way things are going right now, telecom companies are being asked to pay. What about us who have been using his language in comedy? I mean, we've been making fun of Seiya for ages, since time immemorial, with these standard phrases like, English depends on where you grew and who grew you. Like the time Seiya said he was parked at owner's risk. He thinks it's a place. And we've been playing around with this stuff the whole time. Now, I can't afford 8 billion for using, because I don't know what is going to multiply it by. Amount of saliva, number of mouths said. And if Seiya has started suing, then a lot of other people are going to begin. Straka, because we have used her weight all over the place to make money. Barbara Yatta can't sue because she gained weight, so now it's all in the past. Apple should sue MPs for misusing their iPads. After that, I think farmers should also sue Apple for using one of their fruits as a logo and company name. Everybody should sue. Gorola should sue commentators for using his name every time a goal is scored. Goal! La, 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 la. As in, people in the Bible should sue New Vision because they had visions before us. As in, people go on a suing spree. We don't know who Sue is, but bring her to court with you. And anyone called Susan should sue because half of your name, Sue, is being used in the word. Please, sue. Sue away. Sue you. Sue. Just sue. And that was it from us at Business Unusual. If you don't like what I've said, sue me. Hey, goodness. That was fast.
Well, now it looks like this gentleman has a lot of S's in his name. There is Seiya, there is Nasa, there is Sebagara.
Well, whatever the logic is, we also don't know.
Well, that was Business Unusual by Daniel Omara.
Many thanks for staying with us. I'm Victoria Namtevi.
And I'm Joshua Poro.
Have yourselves a good night. Scoop on Scoop is up next, and Game On is coming up.